what's going on, everybody? Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, we're going to be going over all the takeaways that I have gathered from day 2 of Minnesota Vikings minicamp, and I'm super excited to get into it. Just want to say thank you to all the support we've gotten on the channel from you guys as of late. We already got Adam Schmidt, Skull Nations, United Mexican States, Young Boys in the chat as well. You guys already type in the skulls, and I want to keep it going as we let the audience build up. Show off your purple pride down in the comments section, and give me some skulls down there, and then we'll dive into my takeaways from day 2 of Minnesota Vikings minicamp. Also have some injury news on TJ Hockenson and newest Minnesota Viking, Andrew Van Ginkel, so stay tuned for that. And then I just had that fun during our mailbag section. I actually do want to talk about the possibility of bringing back Dalvin Cook. Then we'll also answer questions from the real ones. Purple Pride, okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Boris is in the chat as well. Shout out to TGG_GT. And then Rocky in the chat as well. Shout out to you. Joey Tanya saying, what be the Vikings' record this year? Good question. I think the Vikings, I'll go 10-7 right now. I think the Vikings are going to be a whole lot better than people think. They're going to be good, man. They're going to be good.
No. 17-0.
17-0, as my man Trey says. Yeah, I'll have to put down the purple Kool-Aid if I'm saying that. Adam Schmidt saying Skull Papa Seeps. Yeah, shout out to my dad. He's in the chat right now. Shout out to him. Skull Nation in the chat. United Mexican States as well. Skull Nation saying 17-0. And Eric LaPointe, shout out to you. But I want to ask you guys this. Predict it for me down in the chat. How many games will Sam Darnold start this season? From what I have seen is J.J. McCarthy is actually not even getting quarterback 2 reps as it stands right now. He's actually getting quarterback 3 reps. They do have Nick Mullins in there running the offense for the second stringers. And, I'm not putting too much stock into that. I just think, the Vikings want to have the best looks they can for all 11 players on that offense. And I think as it stands right now, Nick Mullins, he's just more comfortable with the offense. He offers a better chance for these guys to get, good in-game reps. That's kind of where I stand right now. But Young Boy saying 3, TGG saying 0, Skull Nation saying 6-8, United Mexican States saying 12, Joey Tanya saying 0 or saying 9. If I had to predict it, I would go. I'm going to go 7. No, I'm going to go. He's going to start 19 games for the Vikings this season. He is going to start 19 games. All 17 regular season games, 2 playoff games, Vikings losing the divisional round. That's what I'm going to say. Yeah, maybe I need to put down the purple Kool-Aid a little bit, but I think Sam Darnold's going to have a great year, and he has looked great so far from everything I am hearing. But, yeah, Jason in the chat saying Skull as well. Shout out to you, Jason. Thank you so much for tuning in. So I'm just looking at some clips right now of J.J. McCarthy throwing the ball rookie minicamp. He looks good, man. He looks good. But the big news of the week for the Minnesota Vikings was them extending Justin Jefferson. And this has been I don't want to call it a controversial topic amongst Vikings media members and Vikings fans, but, some fans were in the camp that, you just don't pay that much for a receiver. So let me know, did the Vikings overpay Jefferson? Give me a Y for yes or an N for no down in the comments section. Young Boy saying, man, I saw you were live, and I was like, yeah, Young Boy, I missed it on our Bullish channel, man. But we will be back next season, no doubt about it. Boris saying no. Joey and TGG are saying yes. Lawrence Matter is saying yes. It's J.J. McCarthy season saying no. And listen,
Is there such thing as overpaying the best non-quarterback in the league?
Yeah, and listen, this could be totally different situation. Like, let's just say the Vikings were in a Kansas City Chiefs spot where they had a true top 5 quarterback, or, Mahomes being one of the best quarterbacks of all time. I would be a little more hesitant of paying a wide receiver that much money. But the Vikings are going to need to help J.J. McCarthy develop. And I think the best way you do so is you give him number 18 as a pass catcher that he can throw to. So I think, as Skull Nation saying he deserved every cent, I think he deserved every cent, no doubt about it. But people are definitely, in the camp that you don't pay that much money to a wide receiver. I did a video, I put it out yesterday morning around 9 a.m. saying the Vikings made the right call on paying Justin Jefferson. And, some people disagree, some people agree, but I just want to get the pulse of the fan base on that one. But we will be having a mailbag coming up in about 30 or 40 minutes or so. So if you guys want to ask a question, you guys can super chat to help support the show. Super chats really go a long way here. Even if it's $1 or $2, like it really helps us keep the lights on here. And it also sends my bosses a message that Vikings fans want more content. And because of all the support that you guys have gotten me over the past couple of years, I am more likely than not going to have a producer for our watch parties this season. So, want to give credit to you guys for that one. But also use hashtag Vikings. Get your questions in there. It can be about anything. Minicamp, Justin Jefferson, TJ Hockenson, JJ McCarthy, Sam Darnold, whatever you guys want to talk about, use hashtag Vikings, and we will do so. Shot fun, Adam Schmidt. I wasn't planning on drinking today, but if somebody sends in a 50, I will knock out a shot fun, but that's it. That's as low as the price is gonna go. But for 50, 100%, I'll do it. Adam, great to see you in the chat as well. But coming up here on the program, we have day 2 minicamp takeaways as I'm getting them in right now in live action. Then also we got some injury news around TJ Hockenson and Andrew Van Ginkel that we will get into. And then we will have a rumor around Dalvin Cook possibly returning to the Vikes. Then obviously we will get into a mailbag where we answer your questions. So super chat, if you guys want to get your question up on the screen first, great way to do so. But hey, if you guys are ready to get into the day 2 minicamp takeaways, if you guys could just drop a like on today's video. We're at 20 likes right now. If we could get to 25 likes, that would be awesome. Just helps us, push this, live stream out to more and more Vikings fans. So if you guys could, I would really, really appreciate it as well. As my man Adam Schmidt is going to get me going before the show today, sending in a $50 super chat. Shout out to you, Adam. Adam, I'll knock down that shot fund before we dive into today's show. Add a little more juice to the show, huh? Adam Schmidt, what do you say? But everybody give me a skull, Adam, down in the chat. As you guys can actually see now, I was so excited for this for our watch parties. You guys can actually respond to super chats in the chat. So if you guys could, give us a skull, Adam, down below in the comments section. As he's saying, hell yeah, gets you a producer, keep us hyped, Seeps. Hey, because of you, because of all the real ones that I will, more likely than not have a producer for the watch parties this season. If you want to actually give me a shot fund and a happy dad, yeah, thank you so much. Shout out to Trace on the 1s and 2s today. He's going to get the shot fund for us, and then we'll dive right into day 2 minicamp takeaways from the Vikings minicamp sessions. But Adam, seriously, thank you guys. Thank you so much. Hope all is going well for you and your family. Hopefully, best of luck over there. As I love seeing the Skull Adams come in the chat, responding to the super chats. Awesome stuff there. Awesome stuff. As Bulldog saying Dalvin is cooked. Yeah, I hear you. Z Cool saying it's 5 o'clock somewhere. It is 5 o'clock somewhere. I said I wasn't gonna drink today on the show and trying to get back into trying to get back in the shape here. But hey, for Adam Schmidt, I'll knock it down if you guys supporting the show. Also loosen me up before we dive into the day 2 minicamp takeaways. Roger Bong saying Skull Adam. Shout out to you, Roger. If you guys do see, Roger was our MVP from our draft live show, and he won a JJ McCarthy jersey, and it's actually his profile pick, which is awesome. So shout out to Roger, but more importantly, shout out to Adam Schmidt, man. Shout out to Adam Schmidt. Got a little wild cherry happy dad to start off today's show. Where do you find minicamp clips? I just kind of get on Twitter, see what I can. Trying to DM some people who were actually at minicamp, see if they had any takeaways. But I was able to get 5 key takeaways from day 2 of Minnesota Vikings minicamp. But I'm going to knock this down, and then we're going to dive into day 2 minicamp takeaways. But shout out to Adam Schmidt. Get the Skull Adams down there in the chat. Shot fun. If you guys haven't seen this before, it is fun. Well, let's do it.
Chug, 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 chug. Nice.
Woo! All right, fellas. Let's do it. Man, that was ice cold. Woo! Shout out to Adam Schmidt, though. Really, really appreciate it. United Mexican States saying Skull. Woo! Shout out to you. TGG in the chat. United Mexican States spamming those skulls. Adam Schmidt saying chug it. Yeah, appreciate it, guys. But, hey, day 2 minicamp takeaways coming up for you guys in a second. It's Bulldog saying straight to the dome. That's what we try to do, man. That's what we try to do. But we're gonna talk some ball here. We're going to break down day 2. Young boy saying, bro, insane. Young boy, yeah. Damn, dog, you lost that race. Rob Simpy, I didn't lose any race. I did not lose any race. Shout out to Harvey Buxton in the chat as well. Erica Point. All the real ones are here. If you guys could, drop a like on today's video. But, Trace, if you're ready, let's dive into the takeaways from day 2 of Vikings minicamp. Let's do it, let's do it, let's do it. Erica Point holding it down. Shout out to you, man. Let's do it, let's do it. Yep. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Minnesota Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman. Coming up on today's show, we got day 2 takeaways from Minnesota Vikings minicamp as they just wrapped up a couple hours ago. So I got 5 takeaways that I had from just, accumulating clips I found on Twitter and also diving into a ton of quotes from players and coaches from this session. But before we dive into that, guys, if you guys could help us reach 26,000 subscribers actually here on the channel. We are only 160 away, which is awesome. So shout out to you guys who have showed support on the channel as of lately. But if you guys could help us reach that milestone of 26,000 subs and hit that subscribe button. So the first takeaway I noticed from day 2, and this was also in day 1 as well, but Ivan Pace is wearing the green dot, and everybody is raving about his performance, and specifically just him, taking that next step as being a leader of this Vikings defense. But Kevin O'Connell was asked about Ivan Pace during this minicamp session, and he was just talking about his development, and he says it's still remarkable, even where he's at right now, to think that this is just his second year. He's had a very good spring, just the type of communication that Flo is putting on his plate. And my hot take for this with Ivan Pace is I think he's going to be a Pro Bowler this season. I think he kind of has that swagger, and obviously his on-the-field play will contribute to that as well. But I don't think his swagger and his overall mantra will be able to be very attractive to fans, as obviously they are the ones voting for that. So my hot take is Ivan Pace will actually be a Pro Bowl linebacker this season. I think he's going to take that huge next step. So I just want to give a shout out to him. And also, he was wearing number 0. I accidentally had a hiccup on yesterday's show. I called him Ivan Pace 0 instead of Ivan Pace Jr. I kind of like Ivan Pace 0, so we might be starting a nickname here for him on the channel. But Kevin O'Connell was also talking about some of the other linebackers and them possibly getting the green dot as well. He said, we also want to have Blake Cashman and Camus be ready to handle some of that green dot work. BA, Brian Asamoah, has done it a little bit in the past. So you look at those 4 guys and some of the down-the-line young guys we have. We've got Abe Bealplan back as well. The depth of that room, just the versatility. And that's when you continue to say, man, we're versatile in that room. And there's no doubt about it. Like, the Vikings linebacking group is definitely a whole lot better than I think, most fans are giving them credit for. Like Ivan Pace and Blake Cashman. That's one of the better duos we have in the National Football League. And then you just got the rotational guys. Like, I was huge on Brian Asamoah coming into last season. Super fast, great at, just filling holes in the run game. So I think this group for the Minnesota Vikings is going to turn a whole lot of heads this season, and it's all going to be led by Ivan Pace Jr. wearing that green dot this season. But number 2 for me, Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones has been absolutely fantastic, and he has looked the part, and he has his teammates absolutely raving about him. And I think with where, the Vikings are, and we did get this new report from Charlie Walters that the Vikings are going to put more emphasis on the running game this season. He did say they're still going to be more of a passing unit, or more of a pass-heavy offense, but they are going to put more, stock into the running game, and that's great to hear because the Vikings run game has struggled in years past. But Aaron Jones specifically was asked about Justin Jefferson at minicamp, and he had an awesome quote. This is what he had to say. He said, I've played with a number 1 receiver, talking about Devontae Adams, and now being here with a number 1 receiver, and then 2 number 1s, if you ask me, or 3 number ones if you throw TJ Hockenson in there. It's like, who are you going to guard? He also carried on to say, I told JJ today, I'm like, man, I'm ready to get on the field with you. You're going to make my job easier. He's like, nah, you're going to make my job easier. I guess that's what we're here for. He's going to take some attention off me, and hopefully I can do the same. This photo is actually from Minicamp earlier today. Aaron Jones looking swaggy as ever, and I thought it was a great point he made when he was talking about we potentially have 3 number 1 options as pass catchers. Jefferson, Addison, Hockenson. And then you add Aaron Jones in the mix. He's not lying when he's saying, who are you going to guard? You're going to have to pick your poison on these Vikings weapons, and just adding Aaron Jones to this group, it is going to change life for this Vikings offense. And the Vikings offense past couple of years, it has been solid. Like, it has been borderline top 10 on mostly every statistical category there is out there. But specifically, the run game has struggled. 2022, 27th in the NFL. 2023, 29th in the NFL. That has been the one gripe I've had with Kevin O'Connell, is his inability to establish a consistent run game. Well, how do you fix that? You know, upstairs, a GM move that you can make, you add a guy like Aaron Jones. And I just love the way he was talking about it, saying how him and Jefferson are going to be able to complement each other's games so well. And, hey, you can't stack the box against the Minnesota Vikings. So if you're going to give Aaron Jones a favorable box, he's going to absolutely take advantage of it. So I just love the way he's been talking. And, you know, I really do think he is going to fix the run game this year for Minnesota. But you guys let me know, how much faith do you have in Aaron Jones fixing the run game? Or I'll ask you, will Aaron Jones fix the run game? Give me a Y for yes or an N for no down in the comment section. Curious to see what you guys have to say. So number 3 is about Robert Tonyan, and he apparently looks great. You know, I heard reports actually yesterday about Tonyan. He made a couple big-time catches, and I should have probably talked about him a little more on yesterday's show, but Alec Lewis just tweeted this out about an hour ago, saying Robert Tonyan has looked great in minicamp. No hyperbole. Catching everything. Snagged multiple passes in the red zone period today. Outstretched arms. Toe tapping in the corner of the end zone. Just impressive. And Alec Lewis, great job covering the Vikings. Give him a follow on Twitter if you guys haven't already. But he is boots on the ground at Vikings minicamp. And if he's raving about him, I'm going to trust the eyes of Alec on this one. I'm going to trust that trust what he's seeing in Robert Tonyan in becoming a elite pass catcher in this offense. And with TJ Hockenson more likely than not going to miss at least 7 to 8 games this season, they're going to need somebody else to step up. Is it Robert Tonyan? Is it a guy like N'Keal Harry? We told you guys yesterday that he is getting reps with the tight ends during this offseason. So the Vikings definitely have options at that tight end group. But, you know, it's great to hear a guy like Robert Tonyan, who had a down year for Chicago last season, that he's looking pretty good. You know, he was great for the Packers that one season where he went for double-digit touchdowns. So Robert Tonyan, he's definitely living up to the hype. But for takeaway, and this is more of a note here, you know, pretty depressing for me personally because I'm such a big fan of him. But Jalen Nailor is sick, and he's missed the last 2 days of OTAs. And I think this is significant for the battle at wide receiver 3. And I said Jalen Nailor, if I had to have my personal choice, if I was a coach on the Vikings staff, and, you know, obviously they know a whole lot more than I do, but I would have chose him to be the wide receiver 3 this season. I think he's incredibly, you know, elusive, can get in and out of routes very, very well. But, you know, he's kind of put himself behind the 8 ball here, not being at minicamp. And obviously it is not his fault. He is just dealing with illness. But then you start looking around this room, like, you still got 3 options, I think. You know, it's going to be Brandon Powell. It's going to be a guy like Jalen Nailor. And then also, you know, you forget about a guy like Trent Sherfield, who we did pick up this offseason from the Miami Dolphins, even though he is more of a run-blocking wide receiver. That's more of his calling card. But his name will be thrown in the mix for wide receiver 3. But, you know, after this news that we got a Jalen Nailor, I think it's looking more and more likely that Brandon Powell will be wide receiver 3. And I know a lot of people will freak out over this because for some reason Powell he isn't really loved amongst Vikings fans as much as I thought, but I think he'll be a great choice. And, you know, I think he's honestly an underrated player, not just on the Vikings, but in the entire NFL. Like, I date back to that Falcons game last season when Josh Dobbs, you know, literally had 1 practice with this football team, and he came on and he killed it. Who did he throw the game-winning touchdown to? Brandon Powell on a whip route, just creating separation. And with guys like, you know, Sam Darnold, J.J. McCarthy, like, you're going to need to have those guys that just separate at a high level, and Brandon Powell does it. Familiar with the offense, even dating back to years before when he was with Sean McVay, similar systems that they're running. So as it's looking right now, I think Brandon Powell is going to be wide receiver 3 for this team this season. But I got more takeaways coming up in just a second, but I got to tell you guys about a sweet deal we have at chatsports.com/Vikings jersey. Get your Vikings jerseys today. Here's an example of a J.J. McCarthy jersey. I actually just got mine in the mail. I got the white one, and it is fresh. It is awesome. I cannot wait to rock it on game days. So if you guys want to as well, check it out, chatsports.com/Vikings jersey. Number 5, and this is a takeaway that I had over the first 2 days, but Justin Jefferson is the leader of this football team. And I think there is such a notion and such as a narrative around the NFL that, your quarterback has to be your leader. The quarterback is the face of the franchise. He has to be the one calling the shots in the locker room and just overall, being the leader of the group. I think that couldn't be further from the truth. I think a receiver could as well, and considering the impact and just the overall, kind of aura that Jefferson has in that locker room, I think he is, far none the biggest leader on this team so far. But Jefferson was actually talking about, stepping up into a leadership role. This is what he had to say. He says, now being a leader of this team, I'm going to start carrying myself a different way. I'm going to be hard on everyone. Make sure we are working to where we want to go, which is a world championship. And I totally agree with that. Like, just what I've seen with Justin Jefferson, and maybe this has a connection to Kirk Cousins leaving, and just listening to his press conference after signing that deal, like, Justin Jefferson is just overall sounding more and more like a leader, and he feels more mature. Obviously, it's just going to happen with him just, growing in age, but just everything I've seen from him, he just feels more of like he is the leader of this football team. And, it was actually, it was pretty funny earlier today at Minicamp. There were some clips going around of the Vikings receivers just running routes, and who was throwing the ball to Justin Jefferson? It was actually former NFL quarterback, current Vikings head coach, Kevin O'Connell. I thought it was pretty cool. O'Connell hit Jefferson on a couple slant routes, and he was kind of barking at him after a couple of those routes, telling him to flatten it out. And I just thought it was pretty funny. Kind of speaks to the relationship these two have, as they are really building this offense and building this team around number 18. But if you guys made it to the end of today's show, if you guys could, just give me a skull down in the comments section so I can know who all the real ones are. But thank you guys so much for watching today's show. Again, if you guys made it to the end, give me a skull down below. That's my Twitter right there. I'll be tweeting about Vikings minicamp all off season long. So give me a follow, and I'll give you guys a follow back. But thank you guys so much for watching today's show. See y'all next time. Skol Vikes. Alrighty, let me know, will Aaron Jones fix the running game for the Minnesota Vikings? Shout out to Adam Schmidt, Roger Bong, Rocky in the chat. Yeah, Jalen Naylor, JDT saying, I've given up on Naylor. Dude just can't stay healthy. This is an illness. Like, I'm not, like, it would obviously be a way worse case scenario if he was, dealing with an injury. But, I think he'll be fine. I'm just hyped about Aaron Jones. I love that quote about just the way he was talking about him and Justin Jefferson, man. It was awesome. It was truly, truly awesome. But we'll be getting into a mailbag here in a second. As Scoldier's in the chat, shout out to Scoldier, absolute real one. Same with Borscht, shout out to you saying yes for that. But if you guys have a question, we can do a mailbag in about 20 minutes or so you guys can super chat, get your question up on screen, or just use hashtag Vikings. Hashtag Vikings in the chat, as United Mexican State saying, when will TJ Hockenson come back? We actually got an update on that here in a second. Shout out to Clyde as well, saying Skull. Appreciate all you guys tuning in, but let's dive into the injury news we got on Hockenson and Van Ginkel. We got some big-time injury updates around two key players of the Minnesota Vikings, that being TJ Hockenson and Andrew Van Ginkel. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and with the coaching staff, just talking to media over the past couple of days, they gave us pretty solid insight on the latest around Hockenson and Van Ginkel. And then later on today's show, Tom Pelissero dropped an interesting quote on Sam Darnold potentially starting the entire season. We'll dive into that here in a second. But before we dive into that, guys, I think we can agree, injuries were the biggest reason why the Vikings did not make the playoffs last season. You lost Kirk Cousins, you lost Justin Jefferson, even guys like Cam Akers. There was injuries all over the board for this football team. If you want the Vikings to stay healthy this year, like the video. Don't jinx it. I'm a superstitious guy, so if you guys could help me out and just get the good mojo going out there into the universe, drop a like on today's show if you want the Vikes to be healthy all season. So Ben Gessling, great Vikings beat reporter, by the way, does a fantastic job on Twitter. Yesterday, he was just talking about T.J. Hockenson, and he actually tweeted out what Kevin O'Connell said, and he said T.J. Hockenson, is on schedule with his recovery process. He didn't have a timetable on when Hockenson could return, but said the short-term IR rules might keep the Vikings from needing to put Hockenson on the PUP list to start the regular season. That was very interesting. Then he also tweeted out the quote from Kevin O'Connell saying, with the ability to designate guys to return, you can find ways to get your guys out practicing and on a timeline that might have been different in years past when you would have used the PUP list. And he also said the Vikings are very, very pleased with Hockenson's progress so far. So if Hockenson's not able to go, who's going to be able to step up in this Vikings tight end room? You got Josh Oliver, in my opinion, the best run blocking tight end in the NFL. Then you got Tunyon, who has absolutely been killing it at Vikings minicamp. Alec Lewis tweeted out a couple days ago that said Tunyon was absolutely dominating the day 2 session. Then you still got guys like Nick Muse, Johnny Munt, and then as you see right there, 2 names under the tight end 2 spot, and Harry. Yes, N'Keal Harry is taking reps with the tight end. And, with him, he's 6'4", 235 pounds. He actually did put on 10 pounds of muscle this offseason. So I think that kind of showed his preparation in shifting from a wide receiver to the tight end spot. So maybe N'Keal Harry is going to be, tight end 2 while Hockenson is out. Like, could you imagine that? Former first-round pick N'Keal Harry transitioning from wide receiver to tight end. I think it's pretty damn cool. But, more on Hockenson, I was very critical of Hockenson at the beginning of last season. He had a ton of drop issues, but, man, he really turned it around. I mean, in 15 games played, 960 yards, 95 catches, 64 yards per game. He was on pace to have over 100 catches and 1,000 yards easily. And, if Jordan Addison, Hockenson, and Jefferson could go all over 1,000 yards this season, I think it would be pretty special. But, 10.1 yards per catch as well for Hock. But I do want to take a look at an ACL recovery. So even though Hock, plays a different position than these guys as they're all quarterbacks, and he also did tear his MCL, I think this gives us good context on when he could possibly be returning. So I'm going to take Kyler Murray and Carson Wentz, who you see at the top and the bottom of your screen. Take them for example. So Hockenson tore his ACL in Week 15, and Kyler Murray wasn't able to return until Week 10. So, and Carson Wentz was pretty miraculous. He returned Week 3. But I think around Week 10 and Week 11 and maybe Week 12 is when we can anticipate T.J. Hockenson returning. But anytime before that, I think it would be, incredibly unlikely. But let's talk about Robert Tunyon here. I think he is a great replacement, short-term option for T.J. Hockenson. He has been killing it during Minnesota Vikings minicamp so far. And, I was talking to our Bears Now host, Harrison Graham, a little bit about Tunyon. And, he said he definitely had a down year, and he definitely lost his step with the Chicago Bears last season. But, give me just a solid 10 weeks of being a strong tight end too, and then maybe you switch in to N'Keal Harry here and there. And, I think the Vikings, I think they're going to be able to manage T.J. Hockenson's injury, and, it won't be like catastrophic where it's like, oh, they have no tight ends. Like, what are they going to do? They're going to get no production. I think Tunyon will be able to, no doubt step in there, for about 2.5 months and perform. But Alec Lewis did write up an article about Andrew Van Ginkel as he is still rehabbing from a foot injury he suffered last season. He said Van Ginkel has not yet practiced. He is still rehabbing from a foot injury suffered in the Dolphins' 2023 regular season finale against the Buffalo Bills, but his time is coming. He said maybe it'll happen in training camp or once the season starts. but it will happen as he is, for all intents and purposes, the one-man embodiment of what Flores seeks in his players. 100%, Al. Couldn't agree with you more. But, talking about what Brian Flores looks for in his players is versatility. Look at these stats right now. 69 tackles, 6 sacks, 8 PBUs, a touchdown, and an interception. I guarantee you he is on a very short list of players who had 5+ sacks, 69 tackles, and 8 pass breakups last season. And on top of that, his pass rush win rate was actually top 7 in the NFL last season at 18.1%. He is the definition of a Swiss Army knife, and that's exactly what Brian Flores wants in his defensive players. And also PFF, they love him over there as well. That's why I'm so excited to see Van Ginkel suit up for the purple and gold on game days. But a 91.1 overall grade last season, a 76.3 run defense grade, and a 90.6 pass rush grade for Van Ginkel last season. And no doubt, this was a Brian Flores signing. I promise you, when it was Flores, Kevin O'Connell, and Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, when they were all looking at the free agents this season, Flores was pounding the table, saying, I need Van Ginkel on this defense. I could do everything I want with him. Drop him in the coverage, blitz the quarterback, be good in run defense. Like, he can really do it all. Cover tight ends, you name it. Andrew Van Ginkel is the linebacker version of Josh Metellus. And we saw last season, Josh Metellus broke out last year under this man right here. So, I think Van Ginkel is going to be awesome this season. That's why I want to show him some love here on today's show. Type his jersey number, type those 43s down in the comments section, and show the, I guess the second Swiss Army knife on this Vikings defense some love. And, give me those 43s down there in the chat. But coming up next, Tom Pelissero had a pretty interesting quote on Sam Darnold and, kind of where he stands right now as quarterback 1 with the Minnesota Vikings. I'll share that with you guys here in a second. But first off, I want to give a huge shout out to today's presenting sponsor, PrizePicks. Head to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use that promo code CLNS, and we will match your first deposit up to $100. PrizePicks is the #1 daily fantasy sports app out there. And when you guys do create an account and when you're making your first deposit, if you use promo code CLNS, we'll match it up to $100. For game 1 of the NBA Finals, this was the lineup I cooked up. I took the more on Jason Tatum, 0.5 point, and also the more on Luka Doncic, 31.5 points. And then I rode the hot hand of Derek Lively, and I took the more on his 16.5 points, rebounds, and assists. But even when the NBA Finals are over, the hoops action does not stop. You guys can make lineups for the WNBA. Take the more on Caitlin Clark points, take the more on Angel Reese rebounds. Whatever it may be, check them out. Download the PrizePicks app and use promo code CLNS when you're making your first deposit. We're going to match it for you guys up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. It's PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy. All right, Tom Pelissero on Sam Darnold is how we're going to close out today's show. But hey, this was Sam Darnold at Vikings minicamp early on this week. Looking good, and every clip I've seen of him, he has definitely looked the part as a former 3rd overall pick in the NFL draft. But this is what Pelissero said. He said, everything I've heard so far is Sam Darnold has had a really good spring. He's been dialed in. He is talented. 3rd overall pick back in 2018, has a huge arm, can make plays. It's just about consistency, limiting those mistakes that can blow up a bad game. And I totally agree with Pelissero on that. Like, Sam Darnold, if you go back and look at what Carolina Panthers beat reporters, at what San Francisco 49ers beat reporters were saying about him during spring ball and in the summer during training camp, they were raving about him. They were saying this guy is finally turning that page, but it comes down to the in-game stuff and just those crucial mistakes that he has made throughout his NFL career. And, I mean, looking at his touchdown-to-interception ratio here, I mean, I think that's a good example of kind of who he is. Like, he can throw the ball all over the lot by passing over 12,000 yards. But the touchdown-to-interception ratio of 63-56, obviously not the best, but he does have some dual-threat ability as he has ran over 760 yards throughout his career so far. Quarterback rating of 78.3. Completion percentage, he does get a little inaccurate at times, hence why it is only at 59.4%. 0.7. But, gets me to this. I will be thoroughly shocked if Sam Darnold isn't the quarterback one for week one and, in my opinion, for the whole season. And maybe this is me, drinking too much purple Kool-Aid and just I am always an optimistic Vikings fan. I would never be a pessimist when it comes to, watching and supporting my favorite football team. But I think Sam Darnold's going to start all 17 games, and I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. And I think some people would be sounding the panic alarms like, oh, J.J. McCarthy can't beat out Sam Darnold. That's not what this is about. The Vikings are going to be patient with J.J. McCarthy. Even if right now, that when the Vikings are watching Minicamp, literally right now, they are not going to, immediately see McCarthy make a couple better throws than Sam Darnold and just be like, oh, he's starting. He's on his own timeline. They want to see him develop personally before, they just throw him in there because, if you throw JJ in there too soon, he could lose confidence, and you just don't want him to, do that. So I think Sam Darnold's going to kill it this season for Minnesota. But hey, maybe you guys disagree. Maybe you want to throw JJ McCarthy into the Wolves week one in MetLife Stadium against the New York Giants. Let me know who should be quarterback one for the Vikes. Give me an SD for Sam Darnold, or give me a JJ for JJ McCarthy. Now, if you guys could give me a follow on Twitter, I would really appreciate it. The handle's right there at Pat Sieps, and if you guys do so, I will give you guys a follow back. But thank you guys so much for watching today's show. See y'all next time. As always, Skol Vikes. Alrighty, appreciate it, fellas. Let me know who should be quarterback one down in the chat. United, Mexican States, and I guess SD. Yeah, I think it's gonna be Sam Darnold. Erica points and expectations for Sam Darnold, Mr. Pat. This is gonna sound crazy, but I think to make the playoffs. I think they have a good enough roster around him. If he is anything like he was supposed to be coming out of college, the Vikings should win 10 games this upcoming season. RGB saying Nick Mullins. Nah, it's not going to be Nick Mullins. Nick Mullins will not be getting any quarterback one reps for this football team this season. Wayne saying SD. Tom Lyle saying SD. Shout out to you, Tom. Thanks for tuning in. Shout out to Rocky VA Viking saying SD. United saying we already are good teams. Always make it to the playoffs, my brother said. Yeah, the Vikings have a good, in terms of the top 53-man rosters in the NFC, I think you can make an argument. The Vikings are probably in that top 7, top 8, category, but, it's just going to come down to quarterback play. It's going to come down to these two, whoever ends up starting, if they can take full advantage, of this roster. But we're going to be getting a mailbag right now. So this is our last chance to get your questions up on there. So if you guys want to cut the line, send in a super chat, help us support the show. That's a great way to do so. But also, you guys could use hashtag Vikings in the chat. So ask any question you want, hashtag Vikings, and you guys will get up on screen. You have a graphic right up next to me with your name, your profile pic, and your question, and I will completely break it down. So if you guys could, we need more questions in there. RGB, ask a question. Skol for life. If you could ask a question. X is vibing in the chat. Shout out to you. Lawrence Matter in the chat saying, Sam, Lawrence, get a question in there. I'm going to test out. United. There you go. That's how it works. Use hashtag Vikings. I actually love that. United, appreciate you. Yeah, hashtag Vikings. You pop up on screen right next to me. It's awesome. It's awesome. X is vibing. Great question. I appreciate that. Hopefully you're doing all good, my friend. Erica Point, get a question in there as well. Roger, you too. Get a question in there. I would really, really appreciate it. Okay. Yeah, we can just run it. We'll be good. Alrighty, but we're gonna be diving in the mailbag here. Shout out to you, Roscoe, Pico Train. Shout out to you. I agree. I'll dive into that a little bit here in a second. Hold on, let me just change that. That is not Mr. Dalvin Cook. Snag this. X is saying, sure am. I'm sitting on the beach hearing about my favorite team. That's awesome. Where are you, what beach are you at, X is, if you don't mind me asking? Eric saying, do you see the Vikings, now that we have JJ under contract, making a move for someone like Stephon Gilmore or Xavier Howard Skol to the bowl? I love that question, Eric. If you could, put that back in the chat, but just use hashtag Vikings. I'll answer that in our mailbag. But 100%, I definitely do see the Vikings making another move here as they still have $27 million in cap space. They opened up $11 more million this past season, or by extending Justin Jefferson. They reduced his cap hit from 19 to $8 million. Might be on read only. Want to check that real quick? There we go. All right. Eric, yeah, appreciate you. Yeah, literally, dude, they look very similar. There's not that big of a difference. Eric saying, my question is, will KOC really step up his coaching game now, or is it a rebuilding team that he's doing? I think the Vikings fully intend to win a lot of games this season. Good question.
Even if the Vikings, I don't think that they're in the spot where they're like, oh yeah, let's tank, let's clear some cap space, let's get some good draft picks, get some capital back. That's not at all.
No.
You don't do that if you're drafting a quarterback in the top 10.
Yeah, the Vikings are trying to take advantage of McCarthy on his rookie deal, and you got to kind of set up for that. You can't just go all in one year.
If had they traded Justin Jefferson, yes, they're trying to rebuild.
100%.
But
Great
them
point.
extending Justin Jefferson, them letting Danielle Hunter walk, them bringing in good talent on both sides of the ball proves that they are not trying to rebuild.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Which is why they're going to be a lot better than most people think.
Kwesi Adofo-Mensah told me at the Combine, I interviewed him personally, he told me that they had full intentions of being aggressive. They wanted to add talent on top of the players they brought into free agency, and they want to win football games. It's one of those things. Yeah, maybe Sam Darnold gives you less wins, but you don't need to risk hurting J.J. McCarthy's development just for the sake of maybe winning a couple more games this year.
Exactly. And
would you rather win 2 more games this year or at least 10 games every year the next 5 years?
Exactly. Yeah. No need to rush this process, man. This is not the Vikings Super Bowl year. We just all have to be patient. And I know that is hard because I would love, microwave society. I would love to have it right now and have JJ throwing the JJ and having that call. But you know what? I can't wait to yell out on game day. Sam Darnold.
You get the preseason week 3.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have preseason we'll probably have all preseason of J.J. McCarthy. Kevin O'Connell will not play Sam Darnold. I guarantee you he will not play Sam Darnold if he is, no doubt the quarterback 1 during preseason. No doubt. But we're going to dive into the mailbag here. Appreciate you, Simpy, for getting a question in there. And also, Eric, shout out to you. I appreciate it. Let's do it. What's going on, Vikings fans? Welcome into Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman. I wanted to have a fun show today. So we're going to start off talking about should the Vikings sign Dalvin Cook? Yeah, we are going to talk about Dalvin Cook here. And then also on the second half of today's show, we're going to answer questions from Vikings fans as a part of our weekly live show. So love both of these segments that we're getting into today. But before we dive into it, guys, if you guys could help me out, my bosses are kind of on me about not having enough Twitter followers. So if you guys could help me kind of grow my brand a little bit and give me a follow on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. That's the handle right there, Pat Seeps. Just click the link that's in the comment section or description. Give me a follow over there, and I'll give you guys a follow back. Let's take a look at the Vikings running back room right now, and let's dive into this Dalvin Cook topic. So Aaron Jones, no doubt, running back 1, he is going to be the man of this running back room this season, and he is going to absolutely kill it. But then you got my guy, Ty Chandler, who I thought maybe the breakout year was coming from last season, but the Vikings still, decided to give Alexander Mattison all of those carries, which, I disagreed with, but Chandler still showed pop. Then you got Kene Nwangwu, that total special teams demon, gadget guy, can do it all on the football field, but, he's not a true running back. So, do the Vikings have a space on this roster for Dalvin Cook? I'm gonna say no on this one. And last season with the New York Jets, obviously the production went down. They had Breece Hall. He was just not really in that rotation, but only 3.2 yards per carry for a Cook, and we've seen it go down each and every single season. And listen, there'd be no doubt about it. This would be awesome. I would even get excited if I got that notification that the Vikings would be bringing back Dalvin Cook. No doubt. But also, I just don't think it's right for this football team. It's not the direction we are going. If we have seen any moves the Vikings have made this offseason, they want to get younger and they want to get more athletic. Dalvin Cook is the opposite of both those. And I think you could even look at a guy, let's talk about Ty Chandler, for example. He's a younger, cheaper version of Dalvin Cook, and I would rather see him get the running back 2 reps here. I think it would be cool. Like Dalvin, he had so much juice, dating back to that 2019 season where he almost ran for 1,600 yards. He was awesome. But with where the Vikings are heading and this kind of youth movement we have going on in Minnesota, I'd rather have them stick with Ty Chandler for running back 2. Now, I do want to talk about Aaron Jones here for a little bit, as I think this is becoming one of the more underrated and under-talked about moves of the NFL's offseason, because I think people are really forgetting who the Vikings signed this offseason. We can show this graphic. Rushing yards over expected from Week 16 to the divisional round. Who was number 1 by a wide margin? Aaron Jones at plus 151 yards. This means he accumulated 151 more yards than he was supposed to on all rushes from Week 16 to the divisional round. Funny enough, Josh Allen at second on this list at 97. I thought that was pretty funny to look at. But listen, no doubt about it. Aaron Jones is going to change life here in Minnesota, and he is going to change this offense. And Justin Jefferson, he actually agrees so. He said, I've been seeing it on the sideline, so I definitely can see his explosion, his ability to move freely behind the backfield and find that hole and hit it. I'm excited to have him on the squad. He is going to be a tremendous big piece for us to open up our pass game. Being able to run the ball with him and being able to open it up with the pass game is going to be smooth. Absolutely loved what Jefferson had to say there on Aaron Jones, and I couldn't agree more. They're going to complement each other so well this upcoming season. And I want everybody to take a second here and look at this graphic we got. So it's taking the top 2 receivers, the top running back, and the top tight end, and the top offensive lineman. If you took this 5 and you put it up against any team in the NFL, I actually think the Vikings might have the best 5 offensive weapons in the National Football League. You could argue the Niners with Debo, McCaffrey, Ayuk, Kittle, and Trent Williams. They would probably be up there as well. But this 5 that Minnesota has is fantastic. And I just don't think you need to add another guy to it like a Dalvin Cook, because, you know what, man, you got a lot of mouths to feed on that side of the football. And I just think the weapons the Vikings have right now, it is going to be a special season here in Minnesota. And I don't really think a lot of people understand that just yet. But you guys let me know. Would you sign Dalvin Cook? Give me a Y for yes or an N for no down in the comment section. I cannot wait to hop down in the comments and see what you guys have to say. But coming up next year, we are going to be answering questions from you guys as part of our mailbag session here. Absolutely love doing this because you guys kind of get to dictate where this show goes. But before we dive into that, guys, got to tell you about the sweet deal we have going on right now. Chatsports.com/Vikings jersey. Get your J.J. McCarthy jersey today. Or if you guys want, get an Aaron Jones jersey. Get a Christian Darrisaw jersey, as I expect a extension will be coming for him shortly. So check it out. That's the link, chatsports.com/Vikings jersey. And get a J.J. McCarthy jersey today. All right, X is vibing, saying dark horse player to make the roster. Excuse me. Dark horse player to make the roster. Okay, let me think about this. My immediate thought just went to N'Keal Harry making it as a tight end. You could go N'Keal Harry on that one. I'll go Kyrie Jackson. I saw a lot of Vikings media members put out their projected, 53-man rosters, and most of them had Kyrie Jackson off that list. But I think he's going to, show what he's made of during these mini camps or in training camp. I think he's going to work his way into, being possibly a rotational piece. So, dark horse player, I'll go N'Keal Harry or Kyrie Jackson for that one. But appreciate it, X is vibing. Eric coming in saying, I am from Chicago. Me too. I was raised in Chicago as well. And radio here saying Caleb Williams doesn't look good in early season workouts. Do you think the Vikings keep McCarthy on the bench all year, or do you see him playing? So I'm in the camp that I don't think McCarthy is going to play actually at all this season. And I think for two reasons. I think, number one, I don't think the Vikings are going to rush this process at all. They're going to take their time, and they're going to let him develop, and they aren't going to add any extra noise and anything extra to his plate besides developing his own game. Number two, I think Sam Darnold's going to have a hell of a year. Like, I am really starting to believe in Sam Darnold, and obviously it's that time of the offseason where, every fan, if you ask them about their favorite team, they're going to say only, glaring reviews. But, maybe I'm just drinking too much of the purple Kool-Aid, but I think Sam Darnold is going to keep J.J. McCarthy on the bench this upcoming season. But, Eric, I really do appreciate your question. Z Cool saying, if Sam Darnold starts to fail and underperform, do the Vikings plug in McCarthy or Nick Mullins? Great transition here. Shout out to Trace on the ones and twos. But also, great question. Z Cool. See, now with this, I think they would 100% go to J.J. McCarthy. I don't think Nick Mullins, by any means, if McCarthy and Sam Darnold are both healthy, I don't think he's starting at all this year. So if this is the situation, like let's just say Sam Darnold first 5 weeks, Vikings are 0-5, and he's the main reason why we're losing all these games, then I do think JJ will be plugged in there, and they'll just kind of say, hey, you go figure it out. You're gonna now obviously have to be quarterback one for the foreseeable future for Minnesota, but I don't think Nick Mullins will be getting any serious playing time this upcoming season. Bobby Wags coming in saying, when do you think Christian Darrisaw gets extended? Okay, interesting question. I want to say this summer, but the way the Vikings have been doing it and the way they've been handling their extensions, they wait until that fifth-year option. So I'm going to say next summer. I'm going to say Darrisaw gets the bag next summer, and if he has a good year, I'll tell you what, we might be looking at the highest-paid left tackle in the league, the highest-paid tight end in the league, and the highest-paid wide receiver in the league for the Minnesota Vikings. So my guess, I'll say next summer. Roscoe saying, will Reisner or Brandel be the starting left guard this season? Early reports and early indication lean towards Blake Brandel, and Reisner's contract was actually a whole lot less than I thought it was going to be. It was actually only at $2 million. So I think it's going to be Blake Brandel, but, obviously if, Dalton Reisner ends up winning that job, I would not be, shocked at all. But Rob Simpy coming in saying, what's the bet between you and Marsh, and how are you going to feel when the Giants win week 1? If you guys don't know, Marshall Green runs our Giants Now channel here at Chat Sports. We don't have a bet just yet, but I am sure we will. I'm sure we will get one going. But how am I feeling about week 1, Rob Simpy? I'm going to guarantee a Vikings victory right now for you personally. I think the Vikes are going to roll into MetLife and get a victory week 1. Joey Tana saying, who is your top 5 all-time Vikings? Love this question. Absolutely love this. So I'll say top 5 Vikings that I personally watch. So I won't include Randy Moss on this list. I'm 24 years old. So keep that in mind. So number 1 for me, Adrian Peterson. That's an easy one. Number 2, I'll go Harrison Smith. Number 3, I was going to get to him. So Trace just said Thielen in my ear. I'm actually not going to put Thielen. I'm going to put Sidney Rice at 3 for me personally. I absolutely love Sidney Rice, man. He made me fall in love with that 2009 team. I can't say Brett Favre anymore. I can't see Brett Favre anymore. There it is. Z Cool. I'll go Xavier Rhodes. He's on there for me. Love Xavier Rhodes. I'll throw you guys a wild card out here. Phil Loldholt. He was a big-time right tackle for the Vikings. He was a mammoth of a human being. So that'll be my 5. I'll go Adrian Peterson, Harrison Smith, Sidney Rice, Xavier Rhodes, and Phil Loldholt. I bet you, not many people would have Phil on that list, but he was an absolute dog, man. He was a dog at that right tackle spot. But hey, if you guys are ready for some Vikings football coming up here, and we got 2-3 more months until week 1, you guys could give me a scold down in the comments section. Make it look like US Bank Stadium on game day. I would really, really appreciate it. And also, guys, that's the Twitter right there. If you guys haven't given me a follow already, please do so. I'll give you guys a follow right back. And, thank you guys so much for watching today's show. Fun show, talking about Dalvin Cook and answering questions from you guys. So hope you guys didn't take it too seriously about me talking about Cook. But see you guys next time. As always, Skol Vikes. Alrighty. Eric saying Skol to the bowl. I love that. Said with the defensive additions this offseason, even with the loss of Hunter, do you see B-Flow having a defense top 10 or better? 100%. I think that should be the standard for this defense this season. Yes, you did lose Danielle Hunter, but you got his replacement. You got Dallas Turner. You got Jonathan Grenard. You got Andrew Van Ginkel. And I think about this. If you guys have seen the movie Moneyball, when they were trying to fill in the spot of Jason Giambi, when Brad Pitt came into the meeting room, he said, "Who are we trying to replace?" And everybody was like, Giambi. Similar to Kwesi saying, "Who are we trying to replace?" Everybody be like, Danielle Hunter. Be like, no, we are trying to replace his production. We are trying to replace the 15 to 20 sacks per year that he got us. Well, you brought in 3 guys to do that. Brought in Grenard, Turner, and Van Ginkel. I actually don't think the Vikings are going to miss Danielle Hunter at all. And, honestly, I could have had Danielle Hunter on that list as well, as he was one of my favorite players to watch of all time. But shocked Allen wasn't on that list. Yeah, Jared Allen. Maybe. There's a lot of fun Vikings players, man. Yeah. It is definitely hard to pick 5 players, but
you can pick 5 good ones, and then there's going to be 6 or 7 that are I could put him at number 4 or 5.
Yeah, but I think no doubt. I think I got a good 4, of AP, Harrison Smith, Sidney Rice, and Xavier Rhodes. Those were by far my 4 favorite players to watch for the Vikings, especially Xavier Rhodes, man. That 2017 season, he should have won the Defensive Player of the Year. He was fan-frickin-tastic. But we're going to sign off here on the channel. We're actually going to be going live on our Saints channel. So if you guys, I got nothing to do and want to talk some more shop over there, Saints Now by Chat Sports. Ezekiel saying Thielen. Yeah, I mean, Thielen's got Thielen would be right on that bubble, but there was just more guys that, I just like watching more than Thielen. So if you guys could, check us out on our Saints Now channel, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, Skol Vikes, baby.